Hey there everybody, it's UK independent demonstrator Halsey here from slimandstylish.com. Thank you for joining me today. We've got a live video featuring Daisy Lane, both the stamp set and the punch, to make this black gatefold card here. I'm just trying to get the video loaded up so I can see any comments that come through. How are you all? Did you have a good Sunday? Good weekend? I've been crafting shock horror. Hi Colleen. Hi Karen. Managed to open a video but it's not mine. So I'm not sure whose is playing. Hi Deborah. Thanks all for joining. Got all my blends done in rainbow order. Hiya Ivy. Oh yeah, she used to have all a Sunday. Lucky you. I always think that after I've done my lives on Sundays, it's take a picture, blog, have something to eat, and then sort of Monday work time. It's quite a depressing time of night. You've got all day. Lucky you. Hiya Sophia. Oh, well done. 2 projects filmed today. Yay. So this is the card we're making today. I'm using black cardstock again. I've done that a bit recently. And you open it up and I've actually put a white in there so I can write on it. What do you think? These are all sort of loose. I've only stuck them on in the middle so that they all look really sort of 3D. Okay, so we'll get started with it. Yeah, I had great fun, Ivy, in making all of my stamping blends rainbow so that I can add the new ones in when they come this week. Yay! So I've got a piece of A4 cardstock that I've cut in half. So for those in America, on our size, it's 5 7/8 of an inch by 8 1/4 inches. Okay, for everybody here, it's just half a piece of A4 cardstock. I can give you the measurements. I know it's 21 centimetres in that direction and it's 14.85 in this direction. Okay, so you want your scoring tool. I have it, I do have it. I just didn't have it near. Okay. So normally I'd score this at 10.5 to get it in the centre and make it a proper card. But at the moment I want to do it at 5.25 centimetres. Which is, for those in America, 2 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and once you've done that, turn it round and do it exactly the same on that side. Makes it so much easier for me having centimetres and inches on the same thing because I don't have to try and work it out then. I can just call what the 2 measurements are. So you want to fold it over like you would a normal gatefold card. There is a teensy tiny slight gap in the middle, but it really doesn't matter because you're going to be putting your daisies over the top. And that's pretty much it for the card base. So I want to use Daisy Lane. You could use any stamp set that had a coordinating punch. So you could use Butterfly Gala and the butterflies, but I was lazy and used a daisy because it's a bit bigger. If you use the butterflies, you're going to be there just a little bit longer putting it all together. So I've got some Whisper White cardstock. I've got a full sheet of A4. And this is where the fun starts. You want as many daisies as you can fit onto this. Fill the whole sheet of it. This is how this card started. I was trying to make my own DSP with the daisies. and then just decided to continue and punch them all out. So that's that's how this card happened. I'm just going to pop a scrap piece of grid paper underneath. Okay. A hint with the daisies, if you're crafting along, because the punch has that petal at the bottom, you want to make sure that your stamp is in the same direction, so it just makes it easier to go along and punch them all out rather than having to change and move the paper around each time. At the end, you're going to want an even number of them. As for how many you need, it depends how you space them. So on this card, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got about 10, and they're double layered. So I've done 20. When you come to the end of it, you might find you're one short, or you might find you're one too many, depending on your spaces. In which case, you've got one for another card later. Oh, well done, Colleen. Well, I'm only actually using the dark blends for this. I'm not using the dark and the light. I'm just using the one. So you could perhaps use, if you've got Stampin' Write markers, you could use those as well, but you'd want to use them with StazOn ink. Or you could use watercolour pencils, or you could use your sponges with ink, really. It's just anything that gets it. I wanted it really bright, so I've just used the dark Stampin' Blends with this one. It had been ages since I played with this daisy. I feel like the punch has sat in my punch rack and just been really neglected. I do like it. I don't know why I don't play with it more often. It's just one that's just sat on the punch rack and hardly been used. Not anymore. 20 daisies on one card. Oh, Colleen, you need to start crafting with Deborah. She's got the blends but not the stamp and the dart and the punch. You've got the stamp and the punch but not the blends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Might be possible that I might have to go onto another sheet to get my 20 done. Okay, I do have another sheet. Hi to everyone who's just joining us. This is a card we're making. Just noticed a few people have popped in. And the friend just, that does sit over the leaves like that, so that it closes. Each daisy has 2 stamps to it, so that's why I'm stamping lots of them at the moment. And then I've got the fun of just colouring them all. So the Stampin' Blends are in the new catalogue going to duos. They're duo, you can get the light and the dark at the moment, but they will go to duos in the new ones. So I'd use this as well so I could top up on the ones that I was short of. I'm happy buying duos, but not if one of them was running short. So I thought I'll order up on the ones that were running short early. I've lost my count now. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Yay! So it was quite a good project to try all my blends and see which ones were working, which ones weren't. Oh, I've ruined my rainbow. There we go. So I'm using the most laziest colouring technique, literally so lazy. I'm just going from the top to the bottom. I'm just colouring over the whole flower. that is exactly how I'm colouring it. You want 2 in each colour. Is that lazy or is that lazy? You can sit there and colour them all properly with the lights and the darks, but you know, when it goes on the card, there's so much colour on this card, it's not going to make any difference. So that's lovely lipstick. And I'm using it today in protest because it's its very last day. It goes retired tomorrow. So I've just made it in time. Calypso Coral. Like I said, I'm using the darks for all of these. Just because I want it to really pop when it goes onto the black cardstock. 2 of those. Pumpkin pie. Deborah and Colleen, you two are going to have to fly to each other for Sundays if you start actually doing sharing. Just going on a holiday to Colleen's house. Mango medley. See, when you look at the outset and think, I need to colour and punch 20 daisies, it's going to be quite a time-consuming project. I bet you didn't think that I'd be doing the whole lazy colouring. I think this one was on my list to top up, can you tell? But it's a good colour. I use Mango Medley an awful lot. There we go. So there's those ones. Pineapple Punch. This is also going retired tomorrow, so this is more a last chance go with it. It's not really going though. I've just made a separate rack, so I've got 2 racks now, one for current and one for the ones that's gone. I'll still be using these. We are getting some new blends in the new in colours. So there's 5 new in colours and 4 of them are coming with blend duos. Very exciting. Granny Apple Green. Ivy's proud of my lazy crafting. No. Well, when you punch it out, you're not going to be able to tell the difference because it's just going to be coloured nicely then when you punch it. There's no point putting extra work in for no reason. This one is Call Me Clover, which is also retiring after today. Sad news. But one of the new in colours is Just Jade, which I actually like a lot more. It's still green, but it's not as deep a green. Let's see if I've got it somewhere. Oh, here we go. These are all of the new in colours. So that's a new one, Just Jade. And I actually prefer it. I think it's going to be one I use a lot more. Misty Moonlight, Magenta Madness, Just Jade, Bumblebee and Cinnamon Cider, which we can't forget because it's got cider in the title. They're the new ones. I've got them out because I've just done a video on my new colour club which launches next week, and I thought I'll do a video and show everyone what colours they can get. It's no point telling everyone to join a club but not showing them the colours they can have. Yes, Sophie, you do. I saw your post. I was going to respond, but then I got into a war with myself. So Sophia put a post up this week asking which basic colours she should get, because she's only got a few. And I was really tempted to respond because there was a few that you were missing. Like Bermuda Bay is my favourite. Highland Heather as well. That's a good one. I think the new Magenta Madness is going to be great. But then I got to conflicting because I'd listed about 20 in the end for you. So did you notice, Sophia, in the new catalogue, you can actually get little stamping spots, and I think there's about 8 of them for a colour suite, and they're cheaper, but they've got all of the different inks in. They might be better for you because then you can try all of them. Sorry, that one was Bermuda Bay, and yes, it was Bermuda Bay, and this one's Blackberry Bliss. And I think anyone who's ahead of me, I've got a problem. Yeah, I picked up 9 blends to colour 10 flowers. Which one's everyone's favourite colour? Which one shall I do twice? Which one shall I do? Do you know, I'm missing a blue. Let me go and get one. So, Dark Night and Navy. Lazy, 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 lazy. There we go. Hi everyone, to Be Crafty, thanks for joining us. I think I saw Honeybee come in as well. Morning, Honeybee. Right. Punch happy now. So I'm just going to pop along and punch them all, and if you have got them so that the tail end of the leaf is down, it will make it so much easier for you. So you can just run along. The one thing with this punch to be careful for is make sure it is opened completely so you move it, because all of these little bits do get stuck, and it can be quite time consuming then to get them back out your punch. Ask me how I know. I was stuck there for ages with it the other day. See? Just to demonstrate, I'm going to punch my way out. If it's not working on a detailed project, just punch your way out when it gets stuck. So those two are together. And you're going to stick them like that so that you get a full daisy. Deborah, can I join you? Can I come as part of your hand luggage? I'll go and visit Colleen too. Yeah, they make me smile. I remember my very first on stage. You all do swaps when you go to on stage to swap with other demonstrators. And there'd been a lady who had done daisy swaps, and she must have popped probably about 10 of them together, and she put them on a stick and then popped them up so they actually look like a proper flower. And they were really nice. And you know, I couldn't find her, but I managed to find lots of people who had the swaps. And instead of paying attention to anything that was going on, all I did was walk around to everybody saying, are you the person with the daisy swaps? Are you the person with the daisy swaps? Until I got one. I'm not bratty at all, but I wanted one. So I warned you about these, but I'm really not doing a very good job of getting out of it myself. Jake, me a few years ago when I first got the blends, I would have stamped all of these, punched them all out and then set and coloured them. I'd have been disgusted at this trick. I'm just going to cut my paper so I can get in. So who's crafting along? I know Karen's crafting along. Anyone else having a go? I'm going to be finding little parts of these daisies over my floor all week. Before I go any further, I'm going to actually just stick them all down. So I'm just using Fuse for ease. Bit of glue in the middle. And sticking the other one on top. So if when you paste your flowers out on your card, you don't use the full lot of them, these are still really nice. You could make a nice card with these as they are. And this one. Hiya Norma. Okay, the colours I've used are Lovely Lipstick, Mango Medley, Pumpkin Pie, Pineapple Punch, Granny Apple Green, Call Me Clover, Bermuda Bay, Calypso Coral, Night of Navy, and Blackberry Bliss. You could use any of them. I just went for these because they were the brightest that were shouting at me, and I've used the dark in all of them. Oh, I think that's lovely, Honeybee. I was listening to the kids at the back of our house this week while I was working. And, you know, normally in normal situations of a weekend, you never hear a peep of them. I reckon they're all on their computers and things like that. But because they've been locked in their houses now for so long, I think they must be bored of the computers, because they were out and they were in their paddling pool and on their trampoline. Do you know, they sounded like they were having so much fun. I wanted to go and join them. I think one of them must have had a water pistol, because they were doing screaming and, oh, don't get me. And I thought, I'd much rather be there. Sounded very happy. I'm just indiscriminately punching now. I'm just punching away wherever to get myself out my messes I'm creating. Got the paper stuck in there now, though. It's a lovely punch, but by having so many spindly bits, it does make it a bit awkward when you come to get it back out your paper. Oh, I'm so sorry you've got a headache, Ivy. Almost there. Now I'm using the normal Whisper White for the daisies, because there's two of them stuck together and they're just going on the front of the card. I didn't want to weigh it down, so I've just used the normal ones. Plus the fact, I don't know whether it's just me, when I use my blends on the thick cardstock, I find they tend to bleed a little bit. They don't glide as nice as they do on the thin cardstock. Does anyone else have that? Is that just a me being, you know, a bit pernickety over my blends? But I find they seem to scag on it. I'm not even going to bother sorting that out. I've finished. Just going to move all these little bits, because otherwise I'll be finding them everywhere. There we go. And let's say coral one. Pumpkin pie. Oh, do you know what? I'm glad you all have that issue with the blending on the thicker cardstock. It just seems to glide so nice on the thin Whisper White that I think I'm a bit spoiled. So there we are, there's all my daisies. And I've got my gatefold card that I did earlier. So anyone who's joined us, this is a piece of A4 cardstock cut in half, and I've scored it at 5.25 centimetres and 5.25 centimetres, so that it meets in the middle with just a very slight gap, which you're not going to notice because the daisies go over it. Like that. And then that will eventually once you've fiddled with it, sit over the top of the daisies. Now we've doubled them up and coloured them brightly. They're not really daisies anymore, are they? They're gerberas. Get me. I know my flowers. I don't. That's like the one flower I know. Right, so now when you come to pop them on your card, you want to mix them up a bit so you don't have the same colour next to each other. Otherwise they're not really going to pop. You want to sort of get colours that don't really... There we go, a bit like that. So you've got colours where they really just pop out. Ooh, wedding invites for Sophia. When is your wedding day, Sophia? Have you got a date? We'll all be doing wedding crafts for you. Get a wedding live going. So I'm going to use my fuse to stick these on. I'm not going to put glue all over the back of these because I want them to be loose. I want it to look like they're 3D, and I want them to just flip over the other one. So I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up, and it doesn't matter if it goes off the card. That's perfectly fine because you're just going to come along with your scissors afterwards and tidy it up. Okay, so I'm going to start with the lovely lipstick one. If you're unsure, use your Tombow because then you can move it around. I'm just going for it, and then afterwards I'll be like, oh, I don't like that, because we all know that's the kind of crafter I am. So mix it up. You want some on top, some underneath. Actually, I want that one underneath because that one wasn't coloured properly. Blame the person doing the colouring for that one. That was me. And they don't all have to be in a straight line, just dot them wherever. The one thing I will say when I did this one was I liked it going out like that so that it come all the way to the bottom, and it was sort of, I could still fit my friend at the top, but it graduated. It graduated. That's the word. And next, I think we'll go for the bright yellow. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not sure whether I want the glue. No. I'm going to pop some glue on the petals there so that it doesn't go all the way onto the card, because that bit there is actually going to stick over the top. There we go. I'm going to put the bright yellow next to it. It's okay, by the way, having your glue overhanging here, because when you cut it off you're not going to notice, but you don't want it overhanging on this section because this is then going to close up and it will stick. Such a happy card. Don't worry if you've run out of space, if you've run out of flowers to get to there, because you're going to be chopping these off so you can reuse the edges. Don't all of a sudden be panicking and trying to stamp and punch more. Okay, so when you come to cutting these off, this bit here that folds in, you want to keep that, but you want to cut across the other 3 sections, okay? So the easiest way is to close it, and then you can see the 3 that you want to get. And you want to cut it straight with the card. If you've got a decent guillotine, you could use that. My guillotine's quite good, but it's also temperamental. So I find it easier just to do it with my snips, to be honest. Look at that mess. I was going to put a gem in the middle, Ivy. I really was. You know the large faceted ones that they had that fit? I was going to put those in the middle, but there were so many of them and it would have made it so heavy that I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to pop that one on. And go along and snip it back again so it's all straight. I was also really tempted with the Noble Peacock rhinestones, because they were the same sort of colours that popped them up the side and stuff, but then I thought you're kind of detracting a little bit from the daisies, and I quite liked them like that. See, if I did have another one I could put it there, but I like it like that. So it looks like it is just a scattered bunch of them. What I am going to do though, which is probably my fault because of my colouring, I got a little bit of white on that one, which I'm not happy with, so I'm just going to... no one will ever know. But they'll also know about that bit there. Gosh, I went to pot with that colouring. How are the people who are crafting along? Have I rushed ahead? I know I do it. I'm really impatient. Not impatient, I just have it in my head and just go. How do I come up with my ideas? Do you know, I don't really know. Some days I sit at my craft table and I'm like, what shall I do today? And nothing comes. And then other days there just seems to be a flow of different ideas. I'll have a look at Pinterest and I'll think, oh, that looks all right and that looks nice, and then I'll mix them all together and it'll end up not looking at all like I planned, but there we go. Karen, how did you cut the flowers off that? I said not to cut it off that bit. Right. For the sentiment, I've just got a piece of basic black cardstock. As you can see, I already cut the sentiment off this side on there. So I'm going to use my heat tool and do some heat embossing. Just going to use my embossing buddy. Versamark. And this set has some really nice sentiments because I quite like the sort of font on it. And I love that R, so I'm using the Friend one, but you can easily use a Smile one. They're both lovely. And I've got my white embossing powder. Just going to grab a piece of paper to put underneath it to catch my embossing powder. It won't, no, Sophia. The embossing buddy just gets rid of any of the static on the card. So I'll show you in a second and you can see what I mean. I'm just going to heat this up first. So if you've got me on loud, turn me down a little bit. I don't want to deafen you, but I'm just going to heat that up. I'm just going to... I like popping a hard flat surface behind it so that my card paper doesn't warp as much. So when you use your embossing powder without the static pad, Sophia, if you've got your fingers like I just have and just really dotted it over the paper, as well as, well, there's no point me doing that bit, but as well as sticking to the paper, it will also stick to where the oil was from your fingers. So you get this sort of line around it instead of it being sort of clean around it. So you get all these little dots remain, so it'll look like a little snowfall. If you've used your anti-static pad, it just gets rid of any of those oils that were sort of in your fingers, and it makes it really clean, so you get a much clearer imprint. Okay, so now that I've used that over the card, if I put my powder back over it, it just all falls off straight away. See what I mean? I don't know how good it is, but someone did say that you can use talc to do the same sort of thing, but I tried it and it coloured my cardstock, so I don't use it, and I just use the embossing buddy, and they're not that pricey really, and that one I must have had for about 7 odd years. So the only thing I will say with it, because it's white, is just wait for your ink or whatever you're using to have dried. If you're doing it on black ink or anything, just wait for a bit, otherwise it gets really grubby. Right, so the punch I'm using is this one. Which has a name, but I've forgotten the name. So bad with the punches, because they're all different types of labels. You've got fancy label, classic label. I just tell everyone I'm using the label punch and use whichever one. I'm really bad with names. I forget things. And then these little sort of notches here, because this is only 5.25 centimetres, they just hang off. So I'm just going to chop those off straight up. So I've kind of made it that shape instead. Before I put that on, I'm just going to stick my white paper in the middle. I put the white paper in. Everyday label. Thank you, Deborah. I knew it had label in it. So I'm just going to put my white cardstock in the centre, just so it's easy for me to write on it. And I also put some white on the back so that I could put my my store and everything else on for when I either sell them or gift them. I did have those 2 pieces already done. So whereas this is 10.5 centimetres, I actually cut this, you can see as it just goes in, at 10.2 centimetres, so it literally just fits in. And this here is 14.85 centimetres, and I cut this at 14.7, so it just slots in with a little bit of shadow around it, but it is the perfect size for it. Okay, I have just noticed that I didn't cut that very clean. There we go. it also helps balance the card because I've put, because each of these was a double and then on top of each other and on top of each other, that's quite heavy, so it balances the back so that it stands up quite nicely as well. The Halsey punch. Yeah. And anyone wondering, this is the Make a Difference stamp set. I'm really lazy with my copyrights and the angel policy and things like that. So I have it's this one, the Make a Difference, and I pop this all onto my Stamparatus plate and it stays there. So I don't think I've took it off in about 2 years, and every time I do a card I now know where to put it in and stamp it, and that plate is just for that, so it's not even in there, they're on that plate. Laziness, I know, but I do quite a few cards, so it makes sense to me. Alright, some dimensionals. I found these dimensionals, Karen, in that kit. You know, you sent me the medley. So Karen, who's on the call, she bought the medley but wasn't too keen on it. So I did a swap with her, and I had her medley, and then I replaced it with other products for her. And I came to just throw the box out the other day and found this little pack of dimensionals in the bottom of the thing. I was like, I'm not throwing those away. They're useful. So because this tag comes over the top of the daisies to sort of hold the card in place for when you're posting it or whatever, I mean, as you stand it, you're going to want to stand it open because that's how it looks beautiful like that. But when you're posting it and you want to keep it flat, they can slot underneath there and it helps keep the card flat. So because of that, I'm just putting the dimensionals over the side that's got the D. But I'm popping a few of them because, as you might have noticed, you have to move the sentiment about to pop the petals in, and I don't want it to fall off, so I'm going OCD with my dimensionals up there and popping in 3. Yeah, they were practically in the bin, and I was like, hang on, what's that? And it was a cheeky little sheet of dimensionals. So you can pop them over like that so they come in. I'm actually going to pop it here, which is where there's not that many leaves, so it's easier for me to put under because that's going to be a pain. I'm all about making things very easy for me. So when you go to post it, it will stay flat in its envelope, and then when anyone gets it, they open it and can stand it up like that. Do you reckon, Ivy, should I jewel it up? Shall I put some jewels on it? Yeah, okay. They're all rhinestones. You can tell I'm really naughty. I start a pack of rhinestones and don't finish it and go on to another pack because, you know, I lose things when I'm crafting. I just be like, oh, I'll start another pack. So I have all these little half packs of them. And I'm wondering, I think I'm going to use the pearls because I've done white heat embossing. I think that will look better. Do I want them at the side or underneath? I'm going underneath the sentiment. Big ones or little ones? Change my mind, I'm going little ones, I think. Can you sit back down? Me telling my card off. Sit down. I feel like I'm talking to Noble. There we go. Actually, I quite like it with the pearls on. Oh, well done, Karen. Where did you find those? Karen lost her explanation mark that was in the Make a Difference set. And she's lost a silicone mat for some time now. Norma, that's the same as my lazy colouring. I had white bits on the side. But yeah, I mean, you could be there for ages just sitting colouring them tidily, couldn't you? And I think to me, it just made sense. There we go. There's the card. Pop that back under. Thank you very much. This one I feel is a little bit brighter. And this one a little bit, but I think I used the same colours. Oh no, I didn't. I used Rocio Rose instead of Lovely Lipstick. But I think all the rest were the same colours. Glad you all like it. Thank you for joining. Oh, you only found the new silicone mat. You didn't find your old one. Have you tried your Stamparatus bag? Because I used to pop this silicone mat in the Stamparatus to make it sort of a little bit more thicker. That's where I always find mine. But yeah, thanks for all joining, everyone. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Anyone who is crafting along, let me see the card you've made, because I always find that fun. I was actually thinking, there's quite a few of us now that join every Sunday, and it's really nice, and I've got to know you all. I was thinking perhaps we should are you all on Facebook? Should we set up sort of a Facebook group? And after the lives, we can pop in pictures of what we've made and natter to each other. Just a thought. Let me know if you want to, and if you want to find me on Facebook, I'm Halsey Lou. Come and drop me an ad, and if everybody wants to, I'll pop a little group together. Do I not say that word right, Ivy? Because I do worry when I say it. I don't know if I say it right or not. Oh, okay, brilliant. So we've got a few people who want one. So if I set up a Facebook group this week, we can all drop in and crafty chat as well, because I've really been enjoying my Sunday afternoons. It's like a little catch-up time. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you all soon. Ivy, I hope you feel better. And next Sunday, I will have a think. But if there's anything that you think of in the meantime that you'd like to see, just drop me a message and let me know. Cheers, everybody. Have a good rest of your weekend.